Don't send anymore. Don't send anymore. I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. No more. No more. No more. No more. Hello and welcome to the Conservative Poet with me, Amania. Happy that you are here today. In today's video, we are back in New York City with one of our favorite mayors, our favorite topics, because he brings so much content. So Mayor Eric Adams is holding a press conference with the media. He's holding conferences with the media. He's actually talking. And so we're going to take a sneak peek into his here meeting to see what was the chatter all about, because he had other friends, other liberal mayors come on to talk as well. So one of them is our friend Brendan Johnson from Chicago. And then another one is Mike Johnston, or not Mike Johnson, our esteemed Speaker of the House, but another Mike Johnson, his name is. Anyway, he's the mayor of Denver. And so Eric Adams decided to have a little press conference with other mayors, and they're going to stand united. Now, I have not watched any of it. So all of my reaction to this is going to be live with you. I have not watched it at all. And it's about a 40-minute piece. And so we're going to get into it. I will link the whole thing without my commentary in there. And then we're going to go through it, and I'm going to stop and respond and stop and respond and stop and respond. And y'all know, and we're going to have a little fun. So this is going to definitely be a long video. But hey, it's wonderful. So let's get into it right now. This video is brought to you by the Orlando Patriot. Take a few minutes to hear us out. We've got some great deals for you. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas and Happy New Election Year. We are proud to offer some great selections for the holiday season. Here is our All I Want for Christmas is a New President and a New First Lady design. The design comes in multiple colors and styles, t-shirts and sweatshirts. They make a great gift for any patriot or any liberal in your life. Have a little fun this Christmas and trigger a leftist. Get 30% off your purchase. We also have digital gift cards available as well. Thank you so much for your support. We need to continue to support our country, and we do that with your support. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas and God bless you.
Hello, I am New York City Mayor Eric Adams, and I want to thank my fellow mayors, Chicago Mayor Brendan Johnson and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston, for joining us today. As many of you are aware, we are again seeing a record number of crossing at our southern border. What that means for us in New York City is another surge in migrants arriving at our doors. Just a few weeks ago, Governor Abbott promised to send an additional 25,000 migrants to New York City alone.
Where he gonna find them? Where they coming from? They coming from Texas? Where they coming from? Where he got 25,000 migrants in his hands? Wow, 25,000 just out of Texas.
Expect the surge to intensify in the coming days and weeks. Last night, a flight chartered by the state of Texas, El Paso, the fog diverted the flight to Philadelphia, where migrants were loaded onto 5 buses that arrived this morning around 1 a.m. And just last week, 14 buses arrived in a single day, the most ever recorded by officials at our intake center. We are in close contact with other cities and state leaders across the country who are seeing a similar increase in arrivals. To better coordinate these arrivals today, I'm announcing an executive order requiring charter buses transporting migrants, those often contracted by the state of Texas, to provide 32-hour notice in advance of their arrival into New York City.
I'm going to need some notice. I'm going to need y'all to send me a heads up. Tell me y'all bringing them here migrants. 14 buses in a day. Where they coming from? That's my question to you, Mayor Eric Adams. They're not just coming from Texas. Yeah, they coming from Texas, but where they coming from? You fail to really talk about that. Where they coming from? How is it that Texas has so many? He's got to share the love, right? He's got to share the love with y'all sanctuary cities. Share the love.
To make sure we have sufficient staffing, we are also requiring that these charter buses arrive only between 8:30 a.m. and 12 p.m. Monday.
Problem for me, what I'm seeing here is that he's not saying, no, we don't want it. He's not saying y'all stay in Mexico or y'all stay wherever you are. Stay in your country. That's not what he's saying. What he's saying is we expect them to come and we want to be prepared to accommodate. And so we need y'all to let us know. You can drop them off at this here time. But he's not saying that he's against all of this. He's saying he's with it. But just give us some sort of notice so we can organize better. Right? You're still a sanctuary, all of these people, so you could just organize better.
Monday through Friday, and to only drop off passengers at one spot unless directed otherwise by New York City Emergency Management. Failure to do so result in a Class B misdemeanor, possible fines, lawsuit, and even buses being impounded. We cannot allow buses with people needing our help to arrive without warning at any hour of day and night.
Well, how you think they happen to be in Texas, friend? You think they called up Texas and said, look, Texas, we coming your way? What do you think they're doing? You think that Texas is getting any notice from these people, these millions of people? Do you think they're getting any kind of notice, Mayor Adams? But you want notice. But you want notice so you can be prepared. What about them? How are they being prepared for the millions and millions that's coming right there today? What are they supposed to do? Huh, Mayor Eric Adams? But you need notice.
This not only prevents us from providing assistance in an orderly way, it puts those who have already suffered so much in danger. To be clear, this is not stopping people from coming, but about ensuring the safety of migrants and making sure they can arrive in a coordinated and orderly way.
Yo, I just made that point earlier. I just realized it, but now he's really being very clear. We're not saying don't come. We're not saying don't come. We need y'all to still come, but we need the Texas to let us know when you coming so we can be prepared. Y'all can still come. Keep coming down. Keep coming across Mexico. Keep coming down Mexico. Keep coming. But just somebody give us the heads up. Texas doesn't get the heads up. Nobody's calling Texas to say, you got millions of people on the way. I don't think Mexico is calling up Texas and saying, you got a whole bunch of people on your way. Be prepared. Get your food ready. Get drinks ready. Get water ready. Get diapers ready. Get formula ready. Get blankets ready. Because you got a million of them coming right down the road. Nobody's calling Texas to tell them that.
Chicago Mayor Johnston has already taken similar actions to coordinate orderly bus arrivals, and I'm glad our teams have been able to share lessons learned from where and what they are doing. And I want to thank him for this insight in the way of assisting and managing this crisis. New York City is part of a coalition of cities and countries and counties, and we know the importance of this moment. We are working together to address this national humanitarian crisis, and that's why I am thankful for the partnership of both my mayors from Chicago and from Denver. I'm proud to be here with my fellow mayors to call on the federal government to do their part with one voice and to tell Texas Governor Abbott to stop the games and use of migrants as political pawns.
What is he supposed to do? So I'm glad he just said it. He said we're uniting with me and my fellow sanctuary city mayors, our liberal mayors. Again, we are liberal cities who says, come on down. This is who we are. We are sanctuary, we are welcoming, right? So I don't understand what the problem is. If you're a sanctuary and you're welcoming, what are you here bitching about? What are you here complaining about? What are you talking about? What are you here talking about? Because you want them to come. So what are you talking about? Me and my fellow mayors, I'm so thankful y'all coming. We gonna unite. It's gonna be one voice. We gonna take Biden down with one voice. One voice.
As temperatures drop in New York City, Chicago, Denver, and other impacted cities, we are calling for the federal declaration of emergency.
He can't even get it out. We're calling for the federation of the emergency. We calling on Joe Biden. We calling on you, Joe.
Financial support and a national resettlement strategy. New York City is proud to have helped nearly 60% of the 161,000 migrants who have arrived here seeking shelter.
All you got is 160,000? That's all you got. There's millions coming in through Texas. Millions. All you got is 160,000, and you hear whining, bitching, and complaining. And then you a sanctuary. You said to come. You said to come. Now you want to complain.
But we need the state and federal government's help in resettling and supporting the 68,000 migrants still in our care, as well as those who are on their way and those yet to come. Our administration
wait a minute. Hold on. You got 68,000, whatever he said. Then you said the ones who's on their way. So the buses are coming. Those are already on their way. You know they're in Texas and they're on their way. That's probably the 25,000 and whatever numbers those are. So they're on their way. And then you take it to another level. Those we're expecting to start the journey from wherever they are, Ecuador, El Salvador, Spain, China, Haiti, Guatemala, wherever they're coming from. You know they're coming. So you're being prepared for that too.
Meeting the asylum seeker crisis head on since migrants began to arrive in 2022. We have offered them food, clothing, and a roof over their heads. And we've helped submit more than 23,000 work authorizations, TPS, and asylum applications. But we cannot continue to do the federal government's job. We have spoken to FEMA and other federal officials.
Shots fired. Should take out my gun. Shots fired. Hitting at Joe Biden. That was a shot.
Who have expressed concern about the border surge, but not offered additional help. We need action, and we need it now. New York City is a city built by immigrants. We will work together to emerge from this crisis stronger than ever before. But this is a national problem that has only been exacerbated by Governor Abbott's cruel, inhumane politics, and that requires additional national solutions. The federal government must take responsibility.
What the hell he just say? I'm trying to understand it. You're saying Governor Abbott is cruel and inhumane because he's sending you, because he's got so many people there that they can't take care of them. But you, who's open arms to the immigrants, to the illegals, you're open arm, and he's sending them to you so they can get the help that they need. And you're here, what? Boo-hoo, whining and crying. And again, I want to be extremely clear. Okay, when I make these videos about showing what's happening out there, again, legal immigration is awesome. This country was built on immigrants. I'm an immigrant. My family's immigrants. Friends are immigrants. I know it's a lot of us here. But we love this country, and what we see happening to this country, we do not like. Because what we're seeing is the countries that we fled from, the countries that we left behind, those countries, we don't want the same thing to happen to this country, because there will be no haven. There will be no haven. Once this place is destroyed, there will be nowhere else to go. So we welcome, we want, we're here for anybody who comes legally. But what we're fighting against, what we're talking against, is the millions and millions of people that we're seeing pouring in. These people aren't being vetted. People don't know who they are. People don't know where they come from. People are coming from all over the Middle East, China, all over this country, all over the world. And they're coming here and nobody knows. And these people are setting up shop. The enemy from within. Again, we're not saying that people are the enemy, but a whole lot of them are, right? Who would not take advantage of this kind of setup? If the Chinese leaderships did not take advantage of this setup, yeah, it wouldn't be good for them. You know, the the terrorists in the Middle East, yeah, they're going to take advantage of this. People are going to come through here that are, as they like to say, bad apples. A lot of people are going to come here without good intentions, okay? And not just only that, people are pouring in prostitution, drugs, all of these things are pouring into the country. And we can't have that. We are destroying this country. And so this is why I speak out about it. I advocate, and I make these videos and I make these things so people can see what's going on. Again, we want people coming here legally because, again, America is a melting pot. We want people here legally. What we don't want is the shit show that we're seeing right now.
Responsibility and lead on this humanitarian crisis instead of leaving it for cities and localities to handle. I want to now turn it over to my colleague, the mayor of Chicago, Mike Johnston.
Well, thank you, Mayor Adams. Thank you for your leadership and thank you for your commitment to this mission. I'm grateful to be joined also by the Mayor of Denver, Mike Johnston. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to this mission as well. It has been articulated on multiple occasions that the lack of care that has been on display for the last year and a half has created an incredible amount of chaos, not just in the city of Chicago, but our country. As buses continue to arrive in the city of Chicago. And
where are they getting those people to fill those buses, man? Huh? Same question I asked Eric Adams. Where they coming from? Where they getting them?
all over the country, the type of chaos that has been administered has left many of our local economies under a tremendous amount of duress. Road buses arriving not just in the city of Chicago, but surrounding communities as well. Some neighborhoods as far reaching as an hour and a half outside of the city of Chicago. Buses sent by the governor of Texas, literally dropping families off in the middle of nowhere.
Didn't they walk through the middle of nowhere to end up in Chicago? I mean, no, the buses dropped them off in Chicago. I mean, in Texas, they walked in the desert from other countries, right? They did that to themselves. They did that. But Abbott puts them on a bus and drops them off to the arms of a welcoming sanctuary mayor like yourself, right?
These families have experienced a great deal of political turmoil, trekking hundreds of thousands of miles to get to the border without real care, without real processing and without a system in place to address this crisis.
Do you think that they have problems processing the millions and millions that's out there in Texas, Mr. Mayor? Do you think they have a problem with that? You know, all of a sudden I'm thinking, what if you were Greg Abbott? What if you had a city on the border states? You know, what would you be doing? Good Lord.
Since taking office over the last 7 months, my administration has worked in collaboration with the County of Cook, with the state of Illinois, as well as the full force of my administration to address this humanitarian crisis. The reckless and, quite frankly, the unsafe behavior of the governor of Texas has caused a great deal of trepidation, to say the least.
So what about Joe Biden? Thus far, nobody has brought up the Biden name, the president, the so-called president, Sleepy Joe. Thus far, nobody has brought him up, but they're calling out the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott. What about Joe Biden? Do you know that name? Do you hear the name that I'm calling out? Joe Biden. He the president. You do know that, right? He needs to close the borders. He needs to do work to the borders. He needs to do his part in all of this. But yet nobody's talking about Joe. Nobody's talking about Joe. Nobody's talking about Joe Biden.
And as a result of that, we have done our very best to bring some structure and calm to this crisis. An orderly and a humane approach is what's required in this moment. And over the past 7 months, we've received hundreds of buses, some in the middle of the night, and again, some in the outskirts of the city of Chicago, with little to no coordination. I've stood up 27 shelters. We are housing currently nearly 15,000 asylum seekers, providing mental care, health care, educating 4,500 students, while also creating a pathway to sustainability. But we cannot do this alone. We need more support from the federal government. And today we stand charged and committed to ensure that our respective cities do our part, and we need the federal government to lean in and provide more financial assistance. All of our cities have reached a point where we are either close to capacity or nearly out of room. Without significant intervention from the federal government, this mission will not be sustained. But
Yo, he's like, we need help. The federal government. Federal government. The federal government. The federal government. You can't call the federal government by name, friend. You can't say, old Joe Biden. You can't say Joe. You can't say Grandpa Joe. You can't say Sleepy Joe. You can't say Crooked Joe. You can't say that. You can't say, let's go, Brandon. You can't do that.
But make no mistake about it, the road buses and now chartered flights is not only unsafe, but it's inhumane. So we are calling.
Hold the presses, hold the presses, hold the presses. So you telling me these people put on nice cushy buses, right? Warm and cushy. They get blankets, all kinds of stuff. They got a bathroom to go to in those buses. They were treading it. They were going out there in the trees. They were going out there in the river. The same river they probably drink and bathe out of too. But that wasn't inhumane, right? That's not inhumane, right? Crossing the border, sleeping out there in the streets with the coyotes. And I mean, not just the men coyotes, but, you know, literally the animal coyotes and lizards and snakes and all kinds of stuff out there in the desert. That's not inhumane, right? With no food, no water, no nothing. That's not inhumane though, right? But putting them on a nice cushy bus with blankets and food and water and a bathroom, that's inhumane. Putting them on an airplane with blankets, cushions, water in a bathroom. That's inhumane, right? These people is twisted and they're upside down, and I don't understand.
Lean on, not just the federal government to provide support and resources to address this humanitarian crisis. We also need better coordination at the border. The state of Texas has a responsibility to connect with municipalities around the country to help address and to deal with this crisis. The mayor of New York, the mayor of Denver, myself, we're committed to that type of coordination. And that's why over a month ago, my administration implemented an ordinance that provided some very clear guidelines
So
around how this is.
hold on, friend, hold on. So since you're so much into these here coordinations, what I would say you should do as a coordination, you're so into coordinating all of this, how about you reach out to the here presidents of those countries where people are coming from, and you say, hey there, president, we're getting a whole lot of people. Let's just talk Venezuela. Let's just say Venezuela. So you call up the Venezuelan president and you say, hey man, I got a whole bunch of Venezuelans coming here. I need you to coordinate with us. I need you to connect with them and coordinate with us so we know when they're coming. So we can let Abbott know that, Mayor Abbott, you've got people coming and we'll take them. We'll be happy to take them off your hands. But now we working out the coordination. We organized, right?
Must arrive in the city of Chicago in order to meet the needs of this moment. And as a result of creating a desire to create some coordination, and as a result of bringing calm, or an attempt to bring calm, the governor of Texas has circumvented law in order to prove a political point. So that is unfortunate. We are very much committed to creating a structure that works for the country, while also pushing the federal government to invest in this crisis, in this mission.
You see, he's not saying we need you to stop them from coming, Joe Biden. We just need more money. We don't need you to stop them from coming. You know, the whole world can walk in here from through the border. Every country, every human being on the planet and outside of the US can come on down. They can come on into America, right? Mr. Johnson, they can all come in here. We're okay with that. We just need to coordinate and we just need more money. So when you look at it, will that money ever run out, man? Oh, I know, they just print more money. They just print more money, right? That's all. We'll take care of everyone. We'll take care of the whole world. We just need more money. At some point, you're going to need another planet. I'm just saying.
With that, I'm grateful that the mayor of Denver is with us. I'll turn it over to Mayor Mike Johnston.
Thank you so much, Mayor, for including me. Thank you so much, Mayor Adams, for all your leadership and partnership. I will be brief with a couple of comments.
This is my first time meeting Mr. Mayor, what's his name? Johnston. This is our first encounter, friend. Let's see what you got, because I'm ready. Let's see what you got. Haven't made a video about you yet.
So much has been said so powerfully by our other two fantastic mayors. I'll just say that Denver finds itself right now at ground zero in trying to resolve and respond to the migrant crisis. We at this point now have had more migrant arrivals to our city than any city in America per capita. And that is not because there is a thoughtful or coordinated strategy to entry. It is because we are the first big city north of El Paso and the cheapest bus ticket and the shortest trip for the governor and others who are trying to find a place to send people. We think that's not the best way to handle a crisis of this magnitude. Mayor Johnston has spoken eloquently before about the ways in which this country has addressed other crises of asylum seekers or refugee seekers, including when we had refugees from the Ukraine who arrived, many thousands of whom landed in Chicago, but they came with federal support. They came with work authorization. They came with a plan for coordinated entry. As a result, they were able to be very successful, similar to asylees that came from Afghanistan. And we were able to create a similar coordinated entry system to help deliver success. We've now received more than 35,000 migrants over the course of the last year. We have more than 4,000 that are in shelter tonight. That's more than 10 times the number that were there when I took office just 6 months ago. And we have incredibly been successful in integrating almost all of those migrants into the city. But as both mayors have mentioned, we know this is not the right strategy by which to help make newcomers be successful or help make our city successful. And so I just want to join Mayor Adams and Mayor Johnston in saying I think there are 3 very clear steps the federal government can take today that we want to see them take. One of those is we do.
Hold on, friend. Hold on, Mike. Again, this guy just showed up on the scene, and they've got the whole word. What is it called? Federal. We need federal. Nobody has dropped Joe Biden's name yet. We are now 14 minutes into this 40-minute long Zoom, and not one, and all 3 have talked, and not one has brought up the name Joe Biden.
You need to dramatically increase work authorization for those folks who are arriving in our cities. Many people come to this country, they get paroled into the country with an asylum claim, but they'll come to Denver and they'll have a court date for that asylum claim that is April 23rd of 2027. That's 4 years away, and in the meantime, don't have capacity to work or to work fast enough.
Does that make any sense to you, friend? I mean, you just said it. I mean, you look like a common sense guy, right? You look like a common sense guy. Lying here. Does that make any sense to you? They come in, they go through your city because you're close to Texas, you're close to El Paso and so on. So you get the first hit. Does it make sense to you that they come in and then 4 years later is when they're to go back into the courts? In the meantime, what happens to them? Does it make sense to you, man? You look like a common sense guy. No, it don't make no sense.
So what we're asking for is that folks that are arriving and are paroled in come with work authorization so we can help them do what they want to do, which is support themselves and support their families. The second is we need more federal support to be able to manage this amount of inflow. It will crush city budgets around the country. As we know, we're looking at about $160 million of potential costs going into next year's budget. That's almost 10% of our entire city budget. That's a massive impact for us. And the third is we think if we have federal resources and we have work authorization, we also ought to be able to have a coordinated entry plan by which the country as a whole sets a strategy for where newcomers arrive and where they can be welcomed in a way that we know cities can successfully support. When asylees from Ukraine landed, if they landed at JFK, that didn't mean that Mayor Adams made the decision on where every single asylee in the country went, just because they landed at a port in New York. In the same way, it shouldn't be true that any asylum seekers that land in Texas are at the whim of the governor of Texas deciding.
I tell you, when they throw that asylum seeker out so much that it's already given me a migraine, because again, these people are not asylum seekers. They're not running away from persecution. They're not running away from persecution. That's what asylum seeking means. You're running away from persecution. You're being politically persecuted. You're being persecuted. These people aren't doing that. They're just leaving their country because it's not good for them. They'd just rather go to America because America has everything that they need. Asylum seeker. They're not asylum seekers. And I'm sick of them saying that.
Where people have to go. We think cities and the federal government can work together to create a coordinated plan for admitting and serving people across the country to make sure no one city is overtaxed, but that every newcomer arrives in a neighborhood that has the resources and the support to make them successful.
They have new language, newcomer. See, they throwing that in. The newcomers. They're slowly moving away from. They've moved away from illegal aliens. Migrants, they're moving away from. Now they're calling them newcomers. And I don't know, the undocumented. Oh, that went through as well. Oh my God, it's too much. It's too much.
There is a common sense, practical way to address this crisis. And we believe that we 3 mayors and other mayors around the country can help partner with the federal government to make sure those criteria are met. Work authorization for those that are here that need to work, federal resources to support their success, and a coordinated plan of entry so that no one city bears a disproportionate amount of burden.
Now,
And with that,
the liberal common sense guy. The liberal common sense guy. God, these people.
I'm happy to stop and give it back to you, Mayor Adams, on however you may want to proceed on questions.
Thank you. Thanks so much, both mayors, for joining us today. And we will open the floor for any questions if there are any.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take a few on-topic questions. As a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand function on your screen. We'll give folks a minute for that to happen now.
Oh, this ought to be fun. Hopefully somebody will ask, what is Joe Biden doing about all this? Why are you telling him to come here? How do we stop being a sanctuary city? Stuff like that. Is it the public? Oh, it's the media. It's not the public. So they're not going to get these things.
All right, we'll start with Andrew Siff from WNBC New York. Andrew,
WNBC New
you can
York.
unmute your line.
Oh, this ought to be fun. Hopefully somebody will ask, what is Joe Biden doing about all this? Why are you telling him to come here? How do we stop being a sanctuary city? Stuff like that. Is it the public? Oh, it's the media. It's not the public. So they're not going to get these things.
All right, we'll start with Andrew Siff from WNBC New York. Andrew, you can
WNBC New York.
unmute your line.
Mayor, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Andrew. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I just wanted to go back to your executive order about the buses. If a bus arrives outside of the times you identified and the city then either issues a summons or impounds the bus, doesn't that punish the asylum seekers, whether intentionally or unintentionally? Doesn't it end up having a negative effect on the folks who are coming here?
No, it is not. And we really are saying to bus operators and companies, do not participate in Governor Abbott's actions. And we want them to take the appropriate actions of being responsible by taking those actions during the hours that we are laying out. And those asylum seekers that are on the buses, they would not be penalized in any way at all. So no, this does not in any way impact those passengers who are on the buses.
Next, we'll go to Dana Rebick in Chicago. Dana, you can now unmute your line.
What they're doing is trying to put people out of business. So these bus companies, right, who are doing their job, this is their job, this is what they do, this is the business that they're in, they're a charter, so they get paid to do their work. This is their business, this is how they feed their family. So again, you're taking from Americans to give to the illegals, right? Because when you shut these buses down, you shut these bus companies down, where are they going to get the money to feed their own family? Where are they going to get the money to take care of themselves? Right? Because you're taking from them. Because you're shutting down their business. You're shutting down the business. But they don't understand that. They don't that nah. They don't understand that.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi. I was hoping, I'm with WGN in Chicago, if the mayors of both New York and Denver could just give us a bit of an idea of the breakdown in the landscape of your shelter space. Here in Chicago, we've seen a variety of warehouse buildings, some hotels that have been used, and there was a plan to have winter tent base camps here that did not come to fruition. So I was just curious how both of your cities have handled that influx and what the shelter space looks like.
First of all, if you're a reporter, you should have had some of that information. I hope you have that information and you're just really asking for him to speak out for the public to understand. But as a reporter, my dear, you should have those numbers. You should have numbers and you should spit them out to him and you said da 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 and he should respond accordingly. I'm just saying, I'm not a reporter. I'm just a random woman on the internet.
Mayor Johnston, and I'll follow you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the question. So We have most of our response so far has been non-congregate shelter, has been hotel units that we've been acquiring to be able to keep people. We've been keeping families for about 37 days, and we've had individuals for 14 days. We have limits to those stays, but we have been using mostly hotel sites. We have just about maxed out all of the hotel capacity in the city and county right now, and so we are bringing on more congregate-based sites that could be churches, could be commercial office space, could be other city facilities to try.
Everybody goes through the same thing. Brandon Johnson went through the same thing. Eric Adams went through the same thing. They start with the fancy hotels, and then they figure out this ain't gonna work no more, because these migrants, they don't want to stay outside of fancy hotels, because the word has gotten back to the people at home. They said, when you come here, friend, you're gonna be put up in fancy hotels, you're gonna have fancy food, and we're gonna just live the dream off the American taxpayer. So more and more keeps coming, but then they realize oh my God, these hotels is expensive. It's expensive. And then they start to figure out, oh, let's do this, let's do that. Let them sleep in police stations. Let us take away the senior facilities. The seniors don't need it to go play bingo. They don't need to play bingo. They don't need to play, whatever seniors do. They don't need to do that. We'll just take their facility, as they did in Chicago. And we'll put the migrants in it. We'll put the illegals in it. We'll take away from Americans. And because, again, where are these people going to go? They sleep on police station floors.
Try to deal with the overflow, but that's been our two primary strategies for sheltering so far.
And, Mayor Johnston, would you like to give an overview of some of the things that you're seeing in your city? I know the reporter is from Chicago, but I think the entire country needs to hear what you have been doing there.
Yeah, thank you. We have exhausted public spaces as well as private spaces. There was, an incredible influx for several months from Texas. I mean, we were receiving 25, 30 buses a day. And at which point, whether it was, park districts or private buildings, anywhere possible, we were looking for space to deal with this crisis. We've also worked, and many people in the city of Chicago, of course, are aware of this, but for the nation to hear, we've worked with our faith community as well as our philanthropic community to meet, this demand. So we have mutual aid support on the ground. We have volunteers, but we've had churches step up and lean in to provide temporary shelter for migrants, as well as, again, public and private spaces. We've reached a point now, of course, where we're getting really close to our capacity, and that's why the impetus of this joint effort to speak directly to the federal government as well as the state of Texas, that as Americans coming together to come up with a sophisticated approach that's coordinated. That's the response that the people of Chicago, and I know the people around the country, want to see.
How about you tell Joe Biden to close the border and not let these people come in? I think that would work. That would work for Greg Abbott. That would work for you. That would work for Adams. That would work for Johnston. It would work for all of you. Just say, Joe Biden, you tell these people not to come. And that's what'll happen. He'll fix the border. He'll put up the wall. He'll lock them up, or mass, deportation, whatever he needs to do. Right? Remain in Mexico, whatever it is he needs to do. Y'all just got to call Joe Biden out on that. The federal government, that could be anybody. That could be anybody, right? Anybody in D.C. But you got to stand up strong, man. You got to call him out. You got to say, Joe Biden.
Thank you. And, I believe it was very important when the Mayor Johnston from Denver pointed out the capacity based on the number of people that are in his city, because I'm respectful of that. New York has 8.3 million people, and we receive over 161,000 migrants and asylum seekers. But this has impacted each one of our cities based on the proportion of the size of the city, and the same impact we're feeling here, they're feeling as well. And it has reached full capacity. We have everything from using outdoor tents to outdoor restroom facilities. Some of our warehouse spaces have been converted. We have maximized our hotels, which is coming at a great cost to our city. We've used spaces in formerly used psychiatric centers that are now converted to outside tent areas. Randall's.
I had to jump in right there. The old mental wards, right? They don't have no use for that anymore because the insane is walking around the city. The insane is walking around the earth. They're not no longer locked up for mental help because they're out here in the world. I'm just saying. I just had to throw that in because these facilities are empty because we're no longer treating people for mental health situations. That's a whole different subject. Transgenders, you understand. That's a whole different subject that I don't want to get into in here. But again, those places are empty while we've got people out here thinking they're something that they're not. I'm just saying. Mental wards are empty.
Islands has a tent as well. We've opened over 200 hotels, and we opened up several what we call HERC, humanitarian relief centers. This is really a weight on our entire capacity here. This is a $5 billion budget for this fiscal year and an additional $7 billion for the next 2 years in the outgoing years. And so not only is it a financial burden, but there's also placed
billions you're spending on these illegals. Billions. With a B. Before you know it, it's going to be T with a trillion, because guess what? These people, we're going to pour. Every country is going to be empty because every country citizen is coming to America. The billions out there in other countries, they're not staying, right? They're coming to America. So before it was thousands, and then it was millions, and now it's billions. And so before soon, we're going to be looking at trillions. And once we've hit trillion, what's the next one that comes after trillion? Oh my God.
It's a great strain on the delivery of services in our city. And I'm sure both mayors will share the same with how it has impacted their cities.
Next, we'll go to Saja Hindi. Saja, you can now unmute your line.
This question is for Mayor Johnston. I'm wondering if Denver is planning to do something similar to Chicago and New York in terms of when you'll be accepting buses and whether there'll be any type of executive order kind of restricting the arrivals.
Heard that? The arrivals. Listen, I'm over this now. These people are not asking real questions, and we're just going to go over and over this. We're going to just go in a roller coaster about this whole thing. So I'm going to wrap this video up because we're not going to get anywhere with these people. They're not asking really tough questions. I wanted to see what kind of questions that they would ask, but this one's asking, well, are you going to do the same thing? Are you going to stop the buses? Are you going to find them too? Come on, these journalists, right? It's sad. Heard that? Seen that? Good. So I really wanted to go all the way with this video, but I didn't see the point of going through the whole thing. And besides, my head is already throbbing from this nonsense. So, any event, that's going to be the video. I don't have too much to say here at the end because I've said everything I wanted to say in there. So, again, this is where we are. We want people to come here. We want people to come, but you got to come legally. You know, as I said there in that last point I made, every country that's out there, their people are coming to America. Like, they are emptying out their country and it's coming here. And we taxpayers have to take care of them. You know, there was a point that was made in another video I covered, and it was the one of the Chicago council members who were advocating for his citizens for them to put sanctuary city on the ballot, like they didn't want to be a sanctuary city anymore. And he actually went in and he said that being a sanctuary city doesn't mean you take care of these people. It means you don't call ICE. It means you don't call the law enforcement to come and take them and deport them. That's what being a sanctuary city means. What's happening here is not a sanctuary city setup from their definition. It's not the definition. What's happening here is I don't even know what to call it. Because if sanctuary is just that, okay, the law enforcement isn't going to call the Iceman on you. That's it. Then you're in the interior, then you figure out what you're going to do. But that's not it. What's happening is you've got to house these people. They're pitching tents all over the cities. You've got to feed them. Everybody's pregnant. Everybody's dropping babies. I mean, and I laugh a lot through this because it's so sad that I need to laugh because this is so ridiculous that this is happening. It's truly inhumane what is happening. From these people leaving whatever country they're from, taking it by foot, paying people, coyotes and so on, just to get here because why? They think everything here is free. They think everything, and it's not. There's a price for everything. People are paying for that. It's not free. Hotels aren't free. Everybody's they have their handout. I needs my money. Everybody's got their handout. I needs my money. Nothing is for free. But they call back on, well, they get free cell phones, they get all this stuff. They get a lot for free. But somebody pays for that. The taxpayer pays for that. The American taxpayer pays for it. And then they print more money, which means our other generations, the future generations, are paying for it. Nothing is free. And again, every country around the world pretty much is emptying out their people here in America. We're out there fighting other people's wars, protecting other people's borders. But ours is wide open. Come on down. Come on down. Right? Come on down. You get free everything. And again, these people will be indebted to the Democrats and they will vote Democrat. And that's what this is all about. Cheap labor for the corporates and Democrat votes for the Democrats. To hell with the country. To hell with the country. They want power and money. That's it. Nada. Nothing else. Anyway, that's gonna be it. I'm done with this. I will see y'all in the next video. God bless you. God keep you. And God help us. God help us all.